Um, best trait in a successful trader. Well, again, I have to tell you guys, even though I've taken my account from 100,000 to over 2 million in the last 3 or 4 months, that I'm actually not a great trader. I want to be clear about that. I know that sounds strange. Most people would like to uh, to have those kinds of results, but I think that I think that the risk I took. No, Ryo, I don't think so. The risks I took in that account were so high. There was a time when I felt like I was going to have a. Well, Quantum's only been up for about 2 months, so we called it at the time, and those stocks went on a huge run, and obviously they came back down. I'm not saying I'm not a good investor. I'll take the credit for that. But I think that a good trader limits their risk. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. But it kind of reminds me of the Beatles. One of those, I think it was Lennon or McCartney said that a great musician knows when to break the rules. Otherwise, if you stay in key every note, it's a boring song. It's when you go out of key for one note that's what makes the song beautiful. I think that for trading, you generally never want to go out of key. Limit your risk, limit your risk, limit your risk. That's the general idea of trading is always limit your risk, take stop losses. I don't do stop losses very well. Um, I set up kind of some risk limits, but there are a lot of trades I put on where I say implicitly or explicitly ahead of time I'm willing to lose it all, and that's a good trader does not do that. A good trader would never do that. And so I think that the P&L of a good trader looks kind of like this. It looks kind of like this. Okay, and the P&L of someone like me, at least lately, it sort of looked like this. And obviously, which one would you rather be? At this moment in time, yeah, the green line's ahead of the black line, but at what point, you know, at this point, you feel like killing yourself. At this point, you think you're God. I think the black line's a better line. I trade stocks. I do options too. Yeah, I think I'll take that, Wiz. Again, like all these are really good trader questions, and like if there's anything I'm really good at is fundamental analysis. I know people want to be great traders. There's no better thing than being a great trader. But the problem is the amount of people who are good traders are very, 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 very low. And there's a lot of LARPing going on. And I'm not going to LARP to you guys. You know, um, the amount of people I can call a good trader that I know personally and I've worked with or work with now, it's like 2 or 3 people, man. It's not a lot of people. Uh, and even those people have self doubts here and there and have cold runs. So being an analyst is easier, but the problem with being an analyst is, a lot of people can do it. It's not that hard, and that's what I'm sort of showing you guys. But the person that has to execute the trades, that person has to have a lot of discipline, a lot of risk management. One of the lessons that I've learned over time about psychology, and I've said this before in these streams, is that smart people have a really hard time trading. Because very smart people, and I'll put myself in that category for a minute, a little moment of hubris, but if you're above average intelligence, let's put it that way, and this kind of scales, unfortunately, what ends up happening is you become, well, throughout life, you've been sort of, you've gotten used to this idea that you're always right and you're very smart, and that when you are here to solve problems that you get the right answer. And the problem with that is that the stock market's a very tough problem. And you'll come across a problem like IonQ, right? And you'll say, well, that, well, IonQ is a short, quantum's 30 years away at best. These machines don't work. I know a lot about quantum mechanics. I studied that as a kid. Like, I'm the shit. And you short the stock and the stock doubles. And you say, what the hell? I'm still right. I have to be right. And you keep shorting it. And the stock doubles again and again and again. And you lose all your money. And you're now working for a guy named Tony, who scratches his balls and smells like crap and went to community college. But Tony's a good trader because Tony knows how to take risks and sizes positions correctly. So Tony from Long Island doesn't know anything about quantum mechanics. He can't spell quantum mechanics. So, hey, Mike. So the point is that the people who are humble, they tend to be pretty good at, and they have a special skill. Some people say they're born with it, to manage risk and manage capital. But the person who's intelligent, they want to take out their intelligence on the market. And anytime you feel like you're taking out an emotion on the market or any dynamic like that, that's the dangerous thing. And some people say you're supposed to stop doing that. Some people say you can't stop doing it, so you might as well listen to it and harness it and learn the feeling. You can't change your feelings that easily, your behavior. So I think that if you try to manifest your intelligence in the stock market, it's not going to go very well. If you try to listen to the rhythms of the stock market and understand what's happening, it might go a little bit better. But the second you start putting yourself into it as the observer, it's kind of an observer effect. Speaking of quantum mechanics, you end up having an issue with just various biases. Probably the biggest one that I've been a victim of, and I see all the time in other people, is I am so smart. If you fade that too hard, you end up becoming a slave to the price action, which a lot of quote-unquote good traders are. And that's kind of where I like to push back on the strong trader that is just sort of driven by price dynamics and money flow. I think that in this example, I probably beat that trader P&L wise, but not risk wise. So on a risk adjusted basis, they probably still won. But for me, I was willing to say, no, fuck you guys. I'm shorting this to the end. I'm making a big fat bet. You traders are too pussy to do this. You're going to stop yourself out 6 times. You're going to find some other stock to trade. This is real alpha. These stocks are worth nothing. I'm ready to risk it all for this. And, who's right and who's wrong in this scenario, it's tough to say. The trader needs people like that for alpha. but it also may not mean that that trader or that the person generating that alpha should be putting in the trades and should be kind of finding a risk manager. And yeah, the market's smarter than all of us individually. So the market knows this stuff. I think that, it's very hard to sort of bet against the market, say that you're smarter than the market. It's very hard. Somebody was asking, like, is it Jensen that knocked those stocks down? Those stocks would have gone down anyway. And it was just a matter of time. And timing this trade, it's very cliche to say timing is everything in trading, and it is. But the timing of that trade was very hard to predict. And that's why I like to be in these trades regardless of the price action, because something like that sort of tends to happen. If these stocks get so hot, why do you think that those stocks were mentioned at all to Jensen and to Zuckerberg? Because they were so hot. So they have this reflexive phenomenon where, because they got hot, they imploded on themselves. And that happens a lot. They attracted attention. If they just slowly melted up kind of quietly over the last 2 years, that'd be different. But that's not what happened. They just went up went to the moon. So anyways, but yeah, I would not recommend my strategy of bet big. If you're wrong, bet bigger. Like, it's just a great way to go broke. That's about it. You will go broke at that rate. Like, there's no doubt about it. And some people will call that being a riskaholic. It's a serious thing. It's a serious thing. There's a lot of people out there who are riskaholics. They want more risk, more risk, more risk. And if you're battling riskaholicism, the best thing you could do is just stop trading at all. I mean, and I know somebody out there right now is listening to this and saying, I think I might be a riskaholic. And I know some of you are chuckling, but the reality is, if it's your money and you've worked hard for it, there's a lot of doctors and other people like that want to trade the market. And they say, well, I've done so well in my career as a physician. Why shouldn't I make money in the markets too? Well, you're asking too much. Life, you got a good hand in life. You got the brains to become a doctor. You got the ability to do it through your family and your credentials and all this, through your, being born in America or whatever. Being an American doctor, you're in the top 0.1% of income earners. Now you want to make money in the stock market too? Come on, man. At some point, you're tempting fate. And that's, most doctors are just terrible investors. That's the meme on Wall Street, is whenever your doctor or your dentist recommends a stock, it's time to short that stock. Now, my dentist was telling me about Fartcoin because my dentist checks out my tweets sometimes. And he thought it was funny because he has a buddy that's in crypto. Yeah, Jack, everybody has an uncle or some other person that's like the tell for their really bad stocks. No dentist of mine is going to be a bad investor. Just being my dentist makes you rich. But no, in all seriousness, I told my dentist to buy Eli Lilly. that stocks are probably a bad investment for the next couple of years, or at least unlikely to outperform very much. All right, caught up everything on AbbVie.